So, good morning or good afternoon, depending on the continent where you are living. Let me introduce myself for beginning. I'm Pascal Rugbüsch. I'm the technical director and CEO of a company named M81. We are located in France. And for myself, I have, let's say, about 30 years of experience in the AS400 and IBM I world. So, and always working in infrastructure and system products, or products or tools oriented to it to help people in the system management. Okay, I will just share my presentation. That's it. Okay, now you should see the presentation. So what is M81? We are a French company. We are based in Lyon, in France. So I'm French, probably you will hear it with a part of my accent. We are writing system software for IBM, for IBM I. So software that help people to manage the IBM I and the system. Currently, we have 3 products available. I will show you those products quickly right after. And we distribute currently in Europe, mainly in Europe, in 11 countries and through a network of 25 partners at this time. So we are growing. And we have some opportunities to go outside Europe now. What are our three products? The first one is Control for I. The goal is to bring a connector between Nagios or any tool like Nagios, so Centreo, Isinga, or PRTG, or any tool like that. So a connector between this Nagios tool and the IBM I partition. And it brings more than 130 checks, individual checks. And we are using commands developed on IBM I, so it's easier to use than only checks, plugins developed in Nagios. Flash4i is the product that I will show you today. We are allowed to run a Save21 every day without to log the users. I will explain you how we do that. And Recover4i is a new product that we started this year. That is a good complement to cold backup. And it allows to, in a cold backup environment, to restore the data with the last cartridge, the last tape, if you have a crash, and reapply every data on the restored backup system, DRP system. Okay, Flash4i. The goal is to make your backup more agile, more easier to do, and many more, not only backups. So this product, Flash4i, will integrate the FlashCopy function or the SnapShot function. It's called FlashCopy in the IBM world and SnapShot in the rest of the world, with the backups, and integrate this into the IBM I partition. So first, let's talk about the backup. For the backups, the ideal thing is to have no one working, no jobs, no users during all the time of the backup. But the backups are during for 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 hours, 15 hours. So it's too long and you cannot stop everything. And most of the time you have customers on the web, you have an industry running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, etc. So it's not possible. What can we do for this? There are some solutions. If you have an HA partition, your data are replicated, logical HA partitions, logical HA replications. So with Mimix, QuickEDD, or Maxava, or any product like this, then you have a second system with the data, current data, actual data, and you can read them. So you can start to save them on the HA partition. But you cannot run a save21 because it's not the same system. So save21 is only, to save the system is only on the production system itself. If the system is outside on a remote site, 25 kilometers, for example, then you have a problem because the tapes are away. And you need to check and make sure that everything is replicated. So you have backups, but not every kind of backups. Otherwise, on the production system, you can use the save while active. Save while active is an integrated production system, is an integrated option in the system where you can have the users running while you run the backups. This is a good idea because then you don't have to stop the users except for the initial part. And during this initial time, then you have to stop the application and stop the users and wait for the synchronization point. And there's always a risk if there's no tape available. For example, someone forgot to put the tape, and it's still not possible to run a save21. So those are two solutions, but they don't do everything. What we propose is a new solution. Well, it's not really new now. It exists for about 5 years now, but it's a new solution anyway. So if you have external disk on a Storewise, on a flash system, on a DS8000, or even with other vendors and the FlashCopy product, then you will take advantage of the FlashCopy snapshot technology to create, to duplicate your production system. How does it work? First, it only works with external storage. It's not available with internal disk. You have to have some external storage, SVC, for example, or Storewise. With this, we will use the FlashCopy function. What is the FlashCopy? It's also named SnapShot in the other world. A snapshot or a FlashCopy is an instant copy of all your disk of the production partition. I will not go deep into the FlashCopy description, but what you have to know about it is that you have, from a user perspective, so from the production system, you have, for example, 10 disks of 1 terabyte each. When you start the FlashCopy, then you have an exact copy of all those 10 disks, and you have another set of 10 disks of 1 terabyte each, and their content is exactly the content of the production system at the time you pressed enter or you say, I want to start the FlashCopy. For sure, and then those two sets of disks are completely independent. And right after, you can start a partition on the second set of disk and run whatever you want. You can run backups, or you can have a test partition, or extract data to send to a data warehouse, or whatever you want. Sure, inside the box, inside the Storewise, it's completely different. Nothing is copied. It's not possible to copy 10 terabytes in 1 second. So there are mechanisms inside, but for this presentation, forget it. Just trust me, from outside, you have in 1 second a copy of 10 terabytes or more. And then those two sets of disks will be completely independent. So you can do whatever you want. Okay, how can you use this? You can use it manually. It's not complicated to create this FlashCopy definition. So you can do it by yourself. It's easy, but then you have to be there and click on the interface of the Storewise and say, I want to start the FlashCopy now. It's not easy if you want to do it every day at 2 a.m. You can do it automatically. So writing some programs to start the FlashCopy, stop the FlashCopy, start a new partition, but then you have to write some programs. It's not very hard to do. And then you can see that the iceberg, you can see another part of the iceberg. And the more you will write programs and the more you will see that you need to write other programs to make it stable. Or you can do it professionally and use a real product, for example, Flash4i. That's what you would have to do. So I will explain you how it works. The infrastructure first. You need an external storage and you need a system. Usually you have this configuration on the left. You have your production partition, and you have both VIOS and two VIOS and two switches. And the production partition can see the disk on the storewise or on the external disk. This is the usual configuration. It also works if you have a direct connection. So the production partition, 1 or 2 fiber channel cards, and connect it directly to the storewise. Then you will need an extra fiber channel card to have a clone partition. Okay, let's have a simple schema to explain how it works. Your production partition and the disk. What do we have to do if we want to run the backups? First, we install the product. This is supposed to represent the product. Install the product, yes. So this is Flash4i, and it's installed and configured. Then we create the structure of the FlashCopy. This is to be done on the storewise or the disk subsystem itself. And then we create or configure a clone partition. So this is done during the install process. We just check that it works. That's once, and that's all. After that, it's there. We don't touch them. And we can stop the FlashCopy. Then, in your daily operations, in the place where you have the start of the backup, then you replace the core of the program that will run the backup. You replace it with one IBMI command, which is this one, the flclone command. So only one command with only one parameter. This parameter is the name of an environment. An environment is an internal structure that we defined, and you will have to enter all the information that we need in this environment definition. I will show you after because I will go in demonstration mode, and I will show you a part of what is this environment. So one command at 2 a.m., for example, in your scheduler, and you enter the name of the environment you want to run, a daily backup with BRMS, a monthly backup with BRMS, a save 21 or a test, or create a test partition or anything else. This command will first flush the memory or quiet the memory. Every active data in the memory will be copied to the disk. It's completely, there's absolutely no effect on the users. So you can do it anytime. It's better when there's no activity or close to no activity, but you can do it at any time. When this is done, then on the disk, we have all the data and all the current data of the system. Then we will, then we will start the FlashCopy. Here, the FlashCopy is on. At the exact second where we start the FlashCopy, then we have a copy of the disk, and those disks are contain exactly the same as the production system at the time of the FlashCopy started. On the production, you can continue to work. There you change anything, you run a batch, you have users, you do whatever you want. There, on the FlashCopy side, on the clone side, it doesn't move. It stays with the data as they were at the second of the FlashCopy started. Then we can start a new partition. This clone partition, we connect it to those new disks, and we start the partition. First, as it's a clone of the production, we have exactly the same configuration. So same name, same IP address, same configuration. So we will change some things in the configuration. We will change the TCP IP configuration and add a new IP address and make sure that the production's IP address will not start. Then we will hold every scheduled jobs from the work job scheduled entries or from the IBM JS1, for example. Then, and this is done to make sure that there's nothing from the production system that will start. We make sure that the startup program doesn't run, that QCTL doesn't start. We use our own controlling subsystem. So there's nothing from the, no job coming from the production system, and the IP address is not running, not active. As one of the goals is to run a backup, we will check the resources of the tape drives and tape libraries to make sure that if you usually use tape MLB 12 on the production system, you still use tape MLB 12 on the clone system. So we check the resources and readapt them. And again, we make sure that the user subsystems don't run. We don't start them. After that, configuration has been changed. Then we can start the backup. For the backup, you use your own hardware or software or infrastructure to run the backup. So physical LTO, VTL, or anything else. If it's anything that runs usually on the production system, we will use it on the clone system, on the clone partition. You can use BRMS or not. If you have BRMS, then it's better. Use BRMS to run your backups. If you don't use BRMS, it's not necessary. You can use it. We also can run a system Safe21, and some of our customers don't have BRMS, and they run a Safe21, a system Safe21 every day. It's easy. It doesn't lock anyone because the jobs, the Safe21 is running on the clone partition while the production is running. So no problem. And recently we made the compatibility of FlashCopy with the BRMS ICC option, which allows to run the backups on the cloud, to the cloud. So now it's compatible. Okay. I didn't tell you, but when we start the FlashCopy, we populate the disk and the data are there. But when we will stop the FlashCopy, it will kind of delete the disk. So everything here on the clone disk will disappear as soon as we will stop the FlashCopy. So no more history, no more information on this. If we don't want to lose them, then we will connect to the production system and send logs, messages, and many informations. For example, if you use BRMS, the whole library with the data from BRMS will be sent back to the production system and restored. And this is documented in the BRMS documentation, official documentation. So we do that. But we also add a lot of logs, internal logs to say exactly what has been done and where we are. We also send system logs. So the display log from the system, we send it back to the production system. So you keep a history of everything that has been done, and the job log of the job that has run the backup. Also, if you have your own tables, own data that you manage on the clone partition, then it's possible to send them to the production system also. Okay, when those logs are done, when everything is back on the production system, then, and the backup is finished, then we can stop the clone partition and also stop the FlashCopy. With this, it's finished. Okay. What type of backups are available? So I told you a little bit before. With BRMS, you can use BRMS. This BRMS 21 is an option where you are directly in restricted mode and you can save, well, there are some details that changed between those two. Every data from the BRMS library is sent back to the production system, so you don't lose anything. You have the history. And for BRMS point of view, it's exactly the same as if the backup would have been done on the production system itself. A Save21, a system Save21 that you can run, so no other option. Or you can use your own program. So if you don't have BRMS or you don't want to run a Save21, you create your own program with the backups you want to do and you use it. And we provide an example for this program, so you know exactly what it does and what you can do in it. Okay. Every operation are done by the. Sorry, I lost something on my screen. Okay, every operation are driven with only IBMI commands and from the production partition. You never have to connect anywhere else than on the production system. That's first with a single command that you've seen, the FL clone command. And you can integrate it in your scheduler. I said that there's a single command, but we also have, as there are 4 steps, you can use one of the 4 other commands to use the 4 steps. So the 4 steps are end the clone partition, end the flash copy, or stop the flash copy. Then there's one step to flush the memory or quench the memory and start the flash copy. These are together. And another one to start the clone partition. So you can desynchronize all this and do that at 2 different times, at separate times. So I explained everything with the backups because that's the main usage that is done with this. But there are many other options, many other possibility of this. Before to go further, if you have questions, don't worry, enter them in the chat room and sometimes I will look at it. For example, now, and I see that you don't have any questions, so it's good. I will continue. But if you have questions, just write them in this. Okay, so I took an example with the backups because that's the first usage of this product, but you also can use for many other purposes. The first one is to run tests. When you have a bug in your application, I know you don't have bugs because you have very good programmers and you don't make any bug, but sometimes something is going wrong. So in this case, the programmers, what they want to do is connect to the production system and run the exact same sequence of programs and see what it does. This on the production system is not a very good idea. And sometimes when you do it on a production system, it looks like this video. Maybe you will not see exactly what the video is, but in this one, you can see a truck that is on the road, rolling, and you have 2 guys looking at the engine while the truck is on the road. Well, you have developers, programmers connecting on the production system and debugging. It's exactly the same. They are looking at an engine while everyone is in it. So not a good idea. It's better to have another partition with the exact same data, and then they can do whatever they want. They are independent from the production system, and it's very easy to do. Another example is GDPR. Now it's not possible anymore if you have sensitive data to have developers, testers, or education on real data. You have to anonymize the data. And to anonymize them, it's often a long process because you have to check every file. So a process that could take 1, 2, 3 or more hours. In this case, it's a good idea to have, again, a clone of the production system with all your data, and then run the anonymization process on this clone partition. So no impact on the users. They continue working without change. On your clone partition, you have fixed data, stable data. They didn't change since midnight where you started the clone. And you can anonymize everything. And then your education can run on this new partition. So it's another usage. You can see here the clone partition. So the first clone partition where you have run the backups. After the backup is finished, then you can use this same partition to do your anonymization process or to have queries or tests on the same partition. So it's not necessary to have many clone partitions. Only one can help. But if you want, you also can have a second clone partition, because there you can start or configure a second FlashCopy. You can have a maximum of 256 FlashCopies, so 256 clone partitions of the same production. And with this, you have a second clone partition, one for backup, one for anonymization and education, one for queries, one for tests, one for whatever you want. One that will change every day, another one that will change every week or every month or on demand. So some other possible usage. You also could create a soft copy of your disk every 2 hours, for example, to have 12 copies of your production system that you could use in case of data corruption. If your data are corrupted on the production system, then you have lost something that you cannot find. The only option is to take the backup from yesterday and restore it. In this case, you would have a backup from 2 hours ago or 1 hour ago, depending on the number of clones that you do. So create a test environment or debug or whatever you want. And many other things. There you just have your imagination to know what you could do. We also have some other specific context. Those specific context, in my example, I just show you this production side. So the production system, the one on the left, the production system and the disk. In some configuration, in many configuration, you have an HA partition, which is remote, and you can have a remote copy, a hardware remote copy with Metro Mirror or Hyperswap. And you also can have a software replication with Mimix, Maxava, or QuickEDD, or any other. In this case, you have your data here on the HA system. Then you can do, as I told you in my example, in my first examples, have the clone on the production site. So here, and you have your backups run locally. But you also can, from here, from the production system, start a clone on the remote site and have a remote copy and run your backup on the remote server. Another example is that you could have your production partition, have your first clone, the one I told first, and in this first clone, for example, if you want to anonymize some data, it's good to take 3 or 4 hours to anonymize all the data. But then if the first developer comes and change some things and break many things, and you have, well, the data are not usable anymore, then it's hard because you have to restart the whole process to re-anonymize and then spend 3 or 4 hours. What you can do is on this first clone partition that we will call the work partition, you run the anonymize process here. And then when it's finished, we clone a second time so that we cascade the clone, the flash copy. And we have here the data in red, here the data that already have been anonymized. And there, developers can come and do whatever they want to test. If they break something and they want to have a new partition for them to play, then you just have to stop this part of the flash copy, the second one, and restart it. And they close to instantly to clone the disk and then just re-IPL the partition, and they will have the same data as they had before. So they can do many tests on the same data for a long time. Okay, let's see a demo. Normally, I'm still connected to my system, so let's look at the program. The product itself is there. It's installed on the IBM I partition. And here we have a menu in that beautiful 5250 screen. In this part of the menu, those commands are the commands that you will use, I would say every day, that you will use to check if everything is okay or to have a feedback. And the rest is here to configure or some other actions. I will not go through everything, but the data are here. We'll first go to the configuration, because I told you that in the flclone command, we have one parameter, which is the name of an environment. We define the environment here. And this is the list of the environment we defined. And you can see that, for example, we have 3 definitions for a daily backup, a definition for full backup with BRMS, for test, for weekly backup. And we also have other definitions, and we could have as many definitions as we want. And we just have to choose the one we want to start when we start it. What do we have in one environment, in a definition? First, we have to know where is the flash copy and where is the storewise. So in this example, we created a definition, which name is there, and we gave the information to connect to the storewise and to start or stop the flash copy. And we did the same for the clone partition. We created a new definition for the clone partition and gave the name of the partition. I will exit the environment definition to show you those 2 structures. They are here in the main menu. With the option 2, I have the list of the storage definitions. Here you can see that we have 3 definitions. If I look at the first one, we know it's an SVC or storewise, it's the same definition. This is the IP address of the storewise. This is the user profile that we will use on the storewise to connect. We connect using SSH, so no need to have a password. It's secured. And this is the name of the consistency group. That's all we need. With this, we have every information needed to start and stop the flash copy and to check what is the status. That's all. If we look at the partition, that's close to the same. We have the list of the partitions. We need the IP address of the HMC and the profile that we will use, again with SSH, to connect to the HMC. If there's a second HMC, we have the definition here. And we give the name of the server, the name of the partition, and the name of the profile of the partition. With this, we have all the information. Okay. Come back to the environment definition. I will look at this one. So here we selected this And this, you can see here the list of those that are already created. What is on the next page? If you have independent ISP, you will enter the name of the independent ISP here to run the queries, to flush the memory. But it's not necessary. If you don't have, most of our customers don't have independent ISP. So it's only to, we have to know it to flush the memory. And if you want to run a save21, because in the save21, we will back up those independent ISP. Next, what will be the configuration of the clone partition? Do you want to change the name? If that's only to run a backup, it's not necessary. You can keep the same name, no change. But if that's to run a test or do something else, then you can change the name. We will need to communicate, so we need an IP address. Here you give the name of the IP address. And here, the IP address of the production system, where will the logs be sent, and some other network information. Here is what do we do with the clone partition after the backup or the first program is finished. Star keep means we keep the partition alive. The clone partition will remain active after the backup. So during the day, you can connect to the partition and do whatever you want. Or that's only for the backup. We can end the partition. So when the backup is finished, we stop the partition, but we don't stop the flash copy. So disks are still there during the day. You can restart the partition and then reconnect if you want to check something. Or you just wanted to run a backup, you are sure that everything is okay. We can automatically stop the clone partition and stop the flash copy. So there, it's reinitialized and it's ready for tomorrow. Then, what do you want to do on the clone partition? In this example, you can run a BRMS backup. If your goal is to run a BRMS backup, the only thing we need is what is the name of the control group. And pressing F4, you have the list of the control groups in BRMS. Oh, so removed. Okay. Do we have to be in restricted mode before or not? In fact, do you want to run a save21? And that's all. All the rest are details in the product. Okay. If you don't want to use BRMS, you can use your own program. You have one program, existing program where you run backups, and you can use this program or adapt it. And we provide an example. So that's all we need. Then you do whatever you want in this program, backups or anything else. Or as do a few, well, some of our customers, you can do a save21, a real save21 every day. And what we need is the name of the drive, the name of the volume. If that's just one time, you can enter the name of the volume directly. If that's every day, then you say here, exit program. And there you give the name of the program that will give the name of the volume to use today. And also we give an example of that kind of program. Okay. If you don't want to run a backup, but do something else, prepare a partition for doing something else, then in this version, we have a user function. This user function asks you some parameters that you will need on the new partition to reconfigure it. For example, what will be the new controlling subsystem and the new startup program, and the name of a program that you will use to reconfigure everything. I said in this version because this is the version 3 of the product, and we are working on the version 4 that normally will will be available in about 1 month, beginning of December. And in this version 4, we added a new function to automate this configuration and to do it by ourselves. So you will not have to write new programs to change the IP address, change the name, change everything. We give all this by parameters. And I can show you a preview of this. I will put it in bigger. So there's a command where you define, there will be in version 4. You see that in our development system. So a command where you can define everything in the new configuration that you want to have. If I press F6 to create a new one, then give a name, and you will have several pages where you can say everything you want to change. This is in the display network attribute option, so you can change the system name and those options. The job scheduled entry, the work job SCDE, you can say, I want to hold them or not, so keep them active. The same for the JS1, job scheduler from IBM. For BRMS, you can say you want to hold the BRMS network because it's not in a new system that you parameter that you will create, or you can keep it active. On the next page, what will be the Ethernet configuration? So we will create our own IP address because it's necessary for the rest, but you also can ask to delete everything from the production system, so there's no trace, and change the IP domain and DNS, etc. So you can change many things. You also have the same for the database name, the remote database directory entries, for the local name of the database, and you can add here new entries if you want to. Do we want to remove the existing entries and create new entries? Also, the controlling subsystem and startup program. Do we want to be in restricted mode, etc.? Some other options. Do we want to change the time, the local time of the partition? Clear the job queues and out queues. And here, most of the time, the developers have their own user profile or own tools, own libraries or directories on the clone partition, on the test partition. So in this option, we give the opportunity to restore them. So we created 3 other structures with the list of the user profiles to restore, the list of libraries to restore, and the list of directories to restore. So everything is there. And all this is without to write a single line of code. It's completely automated. And you have the opportunity to put 3 exit programs where you want. So to put your own changes in this process. So this is brand new, and this will help to create a clone partition to do anything else than backups. Okay, if I come back here to my environment. So there you said in this definition what you want to do. There are also 9 points where you can call your own program, so your own exit programs. And there are also 2 or 3 screens after with other details. So as you see, in this environment, we have all the details we need to start the partition, to start the FlashCopy, start the partition, change the configuration, initialize everything, run the backup, or do anything else. And this without to write a program. If you want to change one parameter, you just have to come here and change one parameter. You don't have to go back to all the CL that you wrote and change the parameters everywhere. Now, how does it look when it runs? You have one command to see the history of the cloning, the option 1 here. And in this, you have the list of every cloning that has run. You have the number here and the date and time when it started. This is even with the name, if the name is prod, it's not a production system, it's a test and demo system. That's why it's not all the time regular. For example, this morning, I made a little test that was going wrong. And so there's no time for the IPL and for the clone. But normally it should look like this, with always or close to always the same time and duration. So I have the history of every environment that has run. We have two partitions. So we have two partitions with a status, another status than finished. This is an end status, and FlashCopy, it means there's no disk, everything is finished. For those, it means that the BRMS backup is finished, but you still can do something else in it on the partition. It's still active. When I look at the detail, I can see information. This is a bit long because we connect to the HMC to know what is the status of the partition. We connect to the storewise to know the status of the FlashCopy. And again, that's a demo partition, so not with a lot of CPU. But usually it's faster than this. That's a demo. Normally it should be okay. So while it's there, you have the status, so you know what it is doing now. Oh, it's it. Okay, so there you have some more information. The two more important informations are here. Here you have the status right now on the HMC. The partition is running and the SRC code is 0. When we just started the partition, we can see the SRC code moving here. We don't have to connect to the HMC. And again, with the FlashCopy, we have the exact information right now. And the disk space used on the storewise. And you have some statistics on the next screen. Okay. What's interesting when you have a backup, it's also interesting to have some messages. So I look at the messages. I told you we have an internal log. And this internal log, we create those messages. You can see there are messages generated on the prod system and some generated on the clone system. And these are centralized on the production system. So we don't have to connect to the clone system. It's autonomous. We don't have to connect to it. And what we see here is that if I go to the bottom, I can see the starting of the process, everything that has been done on the production system, make sure that everything is stopped, initialize BRMS, start the FlashCopy, start the partition, and it's completed. And after the IPL of the clone partition, after about 15 minutes, then we have the first message from the startup, and we hold the jobs, disable BRMS network and job scheduler. We disable everything in the IP resources, create our own resource, and start the backup. So we know exactly what has been done. You can see that all these are information messages. On the list here, you can see there are sometimes errors. When I look at this, I see that there are errors. And what was the error this morning? Well, we have there, for example, this one says that there was insufficient amount of processing resources on the power because I had too many partitions started. So I had to stop another partition to be able to start this clone partition. So that's because of our demo environment. Okay, so you have all the explanation there directly. When you have seen those errors, you can validate them. There's an option 6 to validate. And I will confirm. The messages are still there. They are validated, but that's not an error anymore. And here, I don't have errors anymore. So with this, we provide another command that allows to check if there are errors or not. And so you can automatically check from an external tool, from Nagios, for example, with Control4i, just for example, and check if everything is okay and have an alert if there's a problem at any time. Because the messages that are coming back here, all those messages, not this one, but here, they are generated on the clone system and they are sent to the production system in real time. So after 1 or 2 minutes, you have the message on the production system. So if there's a tape missing on the tape drive, then you have the error message 2 minutes after on the production system. Then you have an alert and you can react. Another thing that is interesting to check if the backups are okay is the system log. So we provide also an option with option 9, not there. Okay. With the option 9, you know, you get every information from the system log, from the clone partition, and you have those information on the production system. So here, for example, if I look at the beginning, here, for example, you have the message as if you would be on the clone partition looking at the display log command. So you have all the information. And also, if we go further, we have the IPL messages here. Okay, so you have the messages from the IPL. And these were the first one. Okay, so you have everything from the display log. And last thing that is very interesting if you want to check if the backup was okay or not is the job log. So with the option 8, we automatically send the job log of the job that has run the backup from the clone partition to the production system. And here you have the job log. This is completely automatic. Okay. And we hope it's user-friendly. So with all this, you have an overview of the product and how it works. There are many other options and many things that we are preparing and that we will add to the product. Okay, Chuck. So these are screens, copy screens if the connection would not have been active. What are the prerequisites? No, not the product prerequisite. That's a real product. That's not a tool. That's a real product with many things inside. With the support, there's openness because we provide the compatibility with IBM disk system and other, and it's really easy to integrate. There's a scheduled version 4. I just told you about it a few minutes ago. And we already have more than 150 references, more than 150 partitions installed in fact, in 11 countries now in Europe. What are the prerequisites? Version 7.1. So it's a very old version. So it's the same product, the exact same product from 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, and 7.4. No change. Everything is compatible. You need to have an external storage, also with a very old version of the Storewise or SVC, or any other. And for those, you need to tell us to contact us if you want to know the minimum version. And some additional disk space. Something that I didn't say about the FlashCopy is that you don't need to have the double of the space. If you have 10 terabytes for the production system and you start the FlashCopy, it's a space efficient option or thin provisioning. So you don't have to have 10 terabytes. For your backups, only the changes will be written to disk. So if you just want to run backups every day, stop and start the FlashCopy every 24 hours, then you need between 5 and 15% of the original disk space, no more. This is far enough. So less than 20%. The licensing mode is you can buy the license and the maintenance, yearly maintenance, or we also provide a subscription if you prefer to have this an OPEX option. We sell through a network of resellers, of partners, and if you are interested, you can ask us to distribute our products in your country. The installation is very quick and very easy to do. Usually it's done in 1 or 2 days, sometimes 3 or 4 if you will need help to schedule your jobs or things like that. But installing the product is just the product itself is very, very quick. So this is an example of our clients and partners, and some partners. Okay, and you have 3 contacts for the sales part in Europe. Bruno Taverne, that is connected, is in France with an arrow here. There's an E at the end, like this. Myself for the sales and technical. And in Germany and everywhere speaking German, we have Carl that you can contact also. And you have the information there. Okay, that's finished for this presentation. I just forgot to tell you that M81 is the name of our company, and it's also the name of a very beautiful galaxy that you can see here. This presentation is finished right on time. Thank you everybody for attending, and don't forget to fill the answer and to fill the survey form.